Hello and welcome to Modern Toyfare. I'm your host, Mr. Modern Toyfare, and I am joined by the founder of the Neckaludamati, my YouTube wife, Mrs. Modern Toyfare, the one, the only, Jarmar_Games. But that's not all. I am joined also by the man Modern Toyfare has full custody of, one of the former hosts of the Figuratively Speaking podcast, the man Optimus Prime popped and he still can't stop, Nate. How are you guys this week?
I'm awesome. I'm joined by Ralph Garman.
Oh, glad we have another guest host.
Yeah.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to talk about some things that we are, yeah,
Gonna talk about.
Yeah.
gotta talk about. We're gonna
so,
talk about those.
so just warning in advance, trigger warning, there's probably be some negativity for at least 2 out of 3, if not all 3 of the subjects today. Uh, but yeah, so the way the show works is the 3 of us show up, we talk about some toys, and we send you on your merry way. I've decided I don't like the Rochambeau. It's too like the 3 of us just suck at it, so we're not going to do that. Instead, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to give you guys 2 options. Either A, since I went first the first week, I think, right? I can't remember. Also, this is episode 3. You may notice episode 2 is missing. That is because we recorded the entire show, and then the file got corrupted, and it was too damn good of a show for me not to count it as canon. So this is episode 3. Fuck you.
Yeah, it was good. I talked about G.I. Joe Classified, and I was super pumped. What did you talk about?
I talked about the X-Men VHS animated figures from Marvel Legends. And
probably talked about something Ninja Turtle related. So
no, yes, you did. You talked about the NECA monsters, Universal monsters. Yeah, we had a whole thing about Hunchback of Notre Dame, Leo and stuff. It was a fantastic episode, but unfortunately, you'll never get to see it because the file just told us to go fuck ourselves. So welcome to episode 3. But yeah, so we can do this one of 2 ways. Either A, whoever went last can choose who goes first, and we can find out who everyone's favorites are. Or we can just go clockwise, and every week it just goes around the circle. So this week would be Jamar, next week Nate, then me, and so on and so forth.
Let's do that.
Okay. No one wants to find out whose favorites? Gotcha.
Nope.
I'm
everybody's favorite.
True. All right, so that means it's Jamar's week to go first. So I'll let you take the wheel.
Well, so a company that I may or may not have mentioned once or twice before on podcasts in any kind of form, Playmates announced some cool remakes of, or I guess it's a re-release. Is probably more of the app name, but we have a box set, which they've been doing a lot of these box sets. So if you're unfamiliar, they've done villains. They did the Turtles. Mm-hmm. There was another Turtles.
They did the comic.
The comic ones.
Turtle.
Yeah, the Mirage. And then they also did the movie.
And then the movie ones. Yeah. So they
the ones with what was it that you always say they had? You said the movie Turtles had some sort of disease. You'd always say.
Oh, because they have like the dots on it. They like have leprosy.
Leprosy. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But those ones sadly weren't as good as the original. Anyways, so this time we have some boxes, new box sets, actually 2. And I'm going to surprise you guys.
Oh.
Because you said negativity, right?
I hear Playmates and you, and I just assume it's going to be a fuck you session for at least 10 minutes.
Yeah. And so when we originally talked about this in just the text message, I didn't really say much because I wanted to save like my actual reactions to, have on camera and possibly surprise you, Michael. But these are actually cool. One, for 2 reasons. One, the sports pack, hands down some of the best Ninja Turtle like Playmate figures. Like, just you can't. Actually, I'm surprised they still were able to keep the 23 trademark. I'm sure that's probably just a weird licensing thing. Everyone knows that's Michael Jordan, but I guess it's not Michael Jordan. So I'm really excited for these, and I kind of want to get this set. But I'm also really excited because if they're releasing these, does this mean that like they're like nudging Super7, like, hey, here goes some things that we're putting out. Maybe make these here. I don't know. I live in a fantasy world.
Yeah, but then also, I feel like you're really living the dream there.
the second box, or the first box, I guess, depending on however you look at this, is from possibly the best reincarnation of the Turtles on television form. And I think a lot of people missed this box. And now you have these, or missed these figures, I should say. And now you have these box. And these were like the ones that popped off the Playmates line. And at this point, I had such a high expectation of what we were getting because of this first wave of toys. And then they just proceeded to shit on me every fucking time afterwards. But that memory of getting these figures for the first time, and I can't wait to like actually open up all my boxes and stuff and get these out again. But those 4 turtles, even with like Splinter and Shredder, I was just so excited. And so it encapsulates this like moment for me, and that's cool to see this in like the box set. And that, I mean, they finally hit a point where I'm like, okay, it's maybe Stockholm syndrome is what it is, right?
I think it's interesting that one, they're doing the sports ones because, like, you know, those kind of things haven't been done in a long time.
Yeah.
I just recently kind of messed with all of the vintage ones at the shop, and I think they're really cool, especially with all the accessories. Because normally when I see these figures, and this is not a jab at you, but normally when I see these figures, they're always missing the accessories, especially the turtle variants. So to see them with all their accessories, like what they came with, and that, I didn't collect those when I was a kid. I got that first round of turtle variants with the disguised Don and the samurai Leo and stuff like that. And then that was it. I didn't get any more after that. So seeing these back out, that's cool because they were neat. That was a fun piece of turtle history. So I do think that's cool. And then I'm right with you. The 2012 series is, I think, maybe my favorite of all the turtle. So I think getting those out is smart. And I'm assuming these are going to be coming out next year, unless we see them over the next, month and a half. But crazily enough, that is the 10-year anniversary of that show. And
oh my God, I gotta go.
Yeah. I just had a midlife crisis.
Yeah. Well, isn't that nuts?
Oh my God.
For anybody watching who didn't watch it because I almost didn't, because I didn't like the way the animation looked initially. That just shows you that sometimes your preconceived notions or your your unconscious bias against something is wrong, because that show was incredible and it only got better as it went along. So getting those out there again is awesome. Like, I thought the way the movie Turtles came out, they didn't do a great job with those. The comic ones were whatever. But these are smart. These are great re-releases that they're doing. So if that's what Playmates is going to do for now, okay, own it. They're going to re-release their past magic. And the fact that they're doing the 2012 is really cool. Could we see a next mutation box at some point?
That's
probably not. Probably not. Call. But that would still be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that would require them to actually do new tooling and so that's not gonna happen.
Well, but, I mean, they made figures at one time.
That's true. That's true. That's fair.
It's just whether or not they still have them.
Yeah,
I'm hoping for this is something that will be a possible purchase, and then also for Rise. Like, I just kind of want to have all the Rise figures as well. So maybe we'll just get all the way up to this, and then we have other new stuff coming. So I'm sure Playmates will do some turtles for that. But yeah, I've come around on these.
That's awesome.
That's impressive. Yeah, because I love the 2012 show. I was kind of the same boat with Nate, except for mine wasn't that animation. I liked the animation. I just assumed it's on Nickelodeon. It's probably not made for me. It's more than likely going to be very kid-friendly, kid-oriented. And then one day, you and Wes were just going on and on about it, and I'm just like, okay. And I watched it, I'm like, fuck, this is dark. This is not a kid's show. Once you get into the second or third season. Yeah. And I loved it. I agree. It's hands down my favorite version of the Turtles in TV or movie form. I'm not going to buy the figures though, because if I'm going to buy these figures, which I eventually will, they're going to be the Metacom ones. Because even though I don't really care for the weird ball joint elbows and knees, I still want the 2012 Turtles, and I want them.
They do look the closest. I mean, these figures, they're inspired by, sure, but they're not those.
They're not at all.
Them. Yeah.
And that's what I think I liked so much about them is this outside of like other than just kicking off the 2012 like series, like for figures and whatnot, these were like almost we'll just say like the 2012 version of the original like 4 turtles that they did. So you had the 4 turtles, and then you started to get more like toon variant that kind of looked more like the cartoon, and that's what these were, but for the 2012 series. And that's what I was like, oh man, is this happening again? I just remember buying those at Toys R Us and being like, is this happening? Are we about to have like turtle stuff hidden? And then it was just a nightmare after that. But it was...
Did you go full on that line?
Oh yeah, literally everything. And
I think I'm only missing a few. I think I'm missing some of the space ones and stuff, but for the most part, I went pretty hard on that.
Yeah. I mean, if you are looking for some short entertainment, the video still, I believe, is online of me and my disgust with Playmate to a certain point after getting burnt out on that entire line and buying one of, I forgot, I think it was, they did like the Mad Max thing. I can't remember the saga, what it was called, but there's a figure based off of that. And it was this same fucking Raphael that is in this photo that you have the assets, but he just like painted his head black and then made the bandana black and glued some pieces to it. I'm like, it has been this long and we're still using this mode. Like, just do something different. But yeah, it was very entertaining. I cannot fucking believe it's been 10 years.
Yeah,
that is mind blowing to me. Mind blowing.
Yeah, that just makes me real fucking sad.
It does. I don't even know if.
Welcome to my world.
My goodness.
I mean, it's like that's me every time I hang out with you guys and talk about He-Man.
Yeah, this is every day.
I just think of like saying
He-Man is almost 40 years old. Right?
But
He-Man will be 40 years old next year.
But that makes sense because it's like 80s, right?
Yeah.
Turtles is 80s too.
I know, and that's the thing that's fucked up is you have Turtles from the 80s already, and now these feel like they're those. I don't. It's
two more years, and Turtles will be 40 years old as a property.
Which makes me wonder if maybe this is their plan, is for the time being, since everyone else is doing cool shit, they're going to re-release these as kind of their build up to the 40-year anniversary. Because I have to assume we're probably getting another box set that's going to be the Michael Bay Turtles.
Yeah.
That could be. I could see that.
I'm trying to think of what other... I mean, they'll probably do Rise, even though it's still recent, but like...
Yeah.
They'll probably do
I don't know. You can still find those at discount stores.
Well, maybe that's probably what they want to capitalize on. Mm-hmm. Like, don't buy them cheap. Get the collector who missed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, aside from like you guys said with Next Mutation, I can't imagine there's a whole lot they could do. I guess they could do the Universal Monster ones, since everyone else is cashing on that. Do a box set of those.
That'd be cool.
That would depend on their license with Universal, and they may not have that anymore. So I'd be curious to see if they would do the 2003 series.
Oh yeah,
anything with those.
So yeah, that would make sense. That would make sense. That actually, I would like that, because I have scattered, most things, but I would like to, like you said, just get everything kind of together. So that would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm into that. See, that was positive.
I'm impressed. Like you even referenced the video where you go on a fucking like 10-minute rant about how Playmates is a piece of shit company and should die. So like,
it's okay.
I was caught off guard. Also, before we move on real quick, I just want to touch base on the sports ones, just because it cracks me up that you've got fucking like, first off, 1920s football player Leonardo. Then you've got soccer player Raphael. Then you've got basketball Donatello, and then Mikey's just like, I got a skateboard.
Well, you gotta remember, this is when like skateboarding was still like new and it was rad.
Yeah, but it wasn't a sport at that point. Like, if these came out like late 90s, early 2000s, I'd be like, yeah, X Games, I get it. But this was 10 years too early.
What sport would you have had Mikey do it?
First off,
Well,
I would
did.
have Mikey
There was-
do a basketball if anything.
Yeah, but Donnie's black. So I'm just joking. Maybe I shouldn't make this.
They did a second wave of these because somebody was a beach volleyball guy, and then Leo was a
that's true.
hockey player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then there was a baseball player. So this isn't even. Yeah, so this is just the first wave.
Yeah, so they could have done
And
baseball.
they
They
did the
could have even done
Olympic
they could have even done fucking tennis player. Like, there's so many actual sports that they could have gone
know
through
tennis
before
is
they were
sport.
like, you know what? Let's do fucking skateboarding.
I
Makes
think what
sense,
it was is, that's his MO.
That is his MO.
He's too cool for real sports, so he goes and
The
skateboards in the
colors.
parking lot.
The colors, it reminds me of why I love the Playmates like Turtle Line. Just the light blue and orange, and it's just the colors are always so fun and cool.
Yeah. All right.
10 years?
10 years.
Really?
10
Jesus.
years. All right. Well, Nate, let's what'd you bring to the table this week?
All right. So, admittedly, by the time you're hearing this, there will have already been a Fan First Friday where they revealed the final 2 tiers to the Rancor Haslab. So I wanted to talk just a second about the Haslab Black Series Star Wars Rancor set, because there's a lot of chatter online, and I'm not going to go negative either, but I am going to kind of circumvent this because there is a lot of negativity out there on this, and I guess I don't really get it. So I understand a little bit like that there's a price issue. So it's $350, but what is money anymore? I mean, we're about to talk about, you know, I don't want to spoil Michael's news piece, but this is also another very expensive item.
Yeah.
So how do we even put this into perspectives anymore? Because, you know, a single Marvel Legend is in retail stores for $22.99, if not $24.99. Like if you go to GameStop, and exclusives are $26 to $27.99. Okay, Super7 figures are $54.99 a piece. You know, this hobby is expensive. So
very,
you know, this Jabba sail barge was $450 as a Haslab. The Unicron, I believe, was $400 or $500. It may have been more than that. I don't remember now. I bought mine secondhand, so it was way more. You know, the Razor Crest was around, you know, $400. The you know, the Galactus was $350 or $325 or whatever it was. The same for the Sentinel or whatever. So it's well in line with those. And I'm also seeing now all this complaining when they announced the unlockable tiers. So the first one was a carded Gamorrean Guard figure. So that's pretty cool. The Black Series Gamorrean Guard was a Target exclusive initially. They did do a re-release on it that was available through fan channel things, but this is another way to get it. And it comes on a really cool OG Power of the Force styled card, which they have not done in a Black Series scale yet. They've done a lot of releases on different cards, but not on a Power of the Force card, which I don't know if the Gamorrean Guard was actually on a Power of the Force card at one time. I don't know. I'm not a super Star Wars expert, especially when it gets into Power of the Force. But I think it's a cool piece. I think what a lot of people are losing sight of, because they complained a lot about the second tier, which was some bone accessories and a cardboard backdrop. And on one hand, I get it. It's a couple of bones and it's a cardboard backdrop. I'm not a big fan of cardboard backdrops per se, but it's cool. And these are just supposed to be bonuses.
Yeah.
These are supposed to be little extras for reaching certain things. And people are treating this like well, Hasbro needs to give us this or I'm not going to commit to this. And I think that's the wrong tactic to take. You know, the Sentinel got 2 figures, but let's be honest here. Those were plain bucks with some newly sculpted heads. They were literally plain bucks. I mean, there's no really nothing to them. Yeah. You know, the sail barge didn't really come with a like a tiered bonus. They did throw in the yak face carded figure, and then the Razor Crest was kind of the one that kind of really started throwing extra things on there. But they did like little flame effects and a stand, and then they did a carded Din Djarin and a carded Grogu, things that you were probably already going to get anyway. So I think people are putting too much into this, you know, unlocking these things, and it needs to be these newly sculpted figures and such. And I think part of that might have been the Galactus that may have ruined that, because they did put, I think, 2 figures I think are newly sculpted. One was Silver Surfer, which has already existed, but the other ones I think were too. I don't know. The female I think is Nova. That one may be an existing sculpt, but I do think the Rocky guy is new. But I don't know. The other thing is, like I said, there's a lot of negativity, and it's almost like people are hoping that this fails, which is a weird tactic to take, because the minute one of these fails, they're going to be less likely to do more. But then that brings me to my other flip side. Before I kind of go over to you guys, see what you think. There's too many going on right now.
Yes.
So there are currently 3 Haslabs running at the same time. And honestly, I'm shocked at how successful the Ghostbusters one is and why there isn't more negativity there. And the reason I'm saying that is because you aren't getting an entire proton pack.
Yeah.
You're not getting a wand, and you're not even getting the thing that that has the straps.
Wait, what? With straps?
Yes. No. I think that's a bonus thing or something.
Okay.
You're only literally getting the back piece, like the actual piece of it, and that one's funded. People are losing their minds over it, and I'm like, you shouldn't be, because it comes with no wand. It works with the $125 wand that they're, you know, soliciting now for Afterlife, which is also weird because it's labeled as the Afterlife Egon wand. I don't know if it's different from the original, and if it is, that's super sucky, because as good as the movie may or may not be, most people are going to want an OG proton pack.
Yeah.
So that one is currently funded with like 8,000 backers already. And then the Star Wars one is struggling a bit, but at the same time, they all tend to struggle until about a week. Yeah. And they got 3 weeks to go. And the G.I. Joe Sky Striker, which I haven't really talked about, is in the same boat. They're both at like 55 to 54%. And they do have a lot of stretch goals for theirs, but I thought theirs was super weird. It's a 3 3/4 inch O-ring style Haslab, which they have done no O-ring figures up until this point for any of the G.I. Joe stuff since 2002 was the last time Hasbro released an O-ring figure, which was a repaint of a really the last time they did O-ring figures was 1994. Anything that they did after that was a repaint of an existing O-ring figure. And then they moved on to a different, body construction style. So I don't know. I think we're on slippery slope with the way people are reacting to this one. And like I said, there is this, whatever reason, there's this kind of this feeling of people wanting it not to hit. And I'm just not really sure what that's about. Now, all that being said, I'm not backing this. It's just, the sail barge, which I'm looking at right now, it's a beautiful piece of engineering, had never been made, okay, through any line. So vintage Star Wars, modern Star Wars, whatever. It had never been made. The Razor Crest, this was probably going to be our only way to get the Razor Crest.
Especially in scale, because a lot of the ships they do usually aren't in scale.
Right, especially with that level of detail. The Rancor, however, it hasn't been done in this scale, but we had a vintage Rancor, and we've had several 3 3/4 inch scale Rancors over the years. And to be honest, this one isn't that much bigger. Now it's a bit bigger, but I don't know. I can see the hesitancy of some to go, especially like myself. You know what? I'm not going to spend $350 to get this large monster for my Black Series that doesn't give me a lot of vehicles and extra stuff anyway. So it's not going to be like once this is out, like I'm going to feel like my collection is incomplete because I don't have a lot of stuff like this for Black Series. It's not like the 3 3/4 inch or a vehicle that I can set up with all my stuff. So I don't know. What do you guys think? What is your guys' opinion, Ben, on the whole thing?
I mean, I've definitely seen a lot of the negativity across the board on this. Even surprisingly, with like, hasn't been super negative about it, but he definitely has had some feelings about it. Like Floosh even seems to be kind of not feeling this Haslab, and
I'm not saying critiques aren't correct. Critiquing and things like that, like Romo knows what he's doing. Yeah. He is not a voice of negativity for negativity's sake. So I definitely, I see where he's coming from.
The only thing I saw that he mentioned that I was like, I mean, does it really matter? Was he mentioned the figure it comes with being a re-release that they had already had recently.
Yes.
And I'm just like, okay, that's great. Is it on the market now? No.
Right.
Then it's a good addition to this, especially considering it's a part of the scene.
You're right. Your Rancor is going to want to hold that.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that one of the final tiers is either going to be Ula the Dancer or the Rancor Keeper. Which, if it's the Rancor Keeper, good on them. But that's going to require some new tooling. That's a pretty that's a big dude.
Yeah.
Like he's a
that's a big
fat guy.
Fat naked guy, right?
Yeah. With like a head thing on, and he comes out blubbering after Luke killed it and stuff.
He better come with an alternate head skull where he's crying. But I think there's a multitude of things. So there's one thing you did miss with the Sentinel, because the Sentinel not only came with those two very bland figures, it came with the battle damaged head and hand, which were reach goals, and then the tri head and the master sculpt head. So it came with quite a bit for its reach goals.
It did.
And aside from the figures, all the other stuff was clearly new sculpt because they had never made a Sentinel before. Also, just the size of the Sentinel and everything for $100 more. It was like almost double the size of the Rancor, right? Maybe a third bigger.
Height-wise, yes. Width-wise, I mean, the Rancor is definitely a beefy, more of a.
So I think, if anything, I think Marvel Legends is the problem, because Marvel Legends seems to get all the love where that team is willing to do more for these, where the Black Series team is more trying to be cost efficient.
And I think they have to be. I don't. Yeah. Marvel gets to do way more reuse. And I think sometimes fans give Hasbro some, and I'm not saying some of the shit that they give Hasbro isn't deserved, but some of it I think is unfair because they kind of crap on them. Like, for instance, all right, so if you haven't seen Wednesday night purchases last week, like I just recently got this, all right? This is 100% reuse.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? This is how they do it, though. And this is in a subset. It's not taking a place of a slot in a wave. So there's a bunch of these repaints that they put out there independently to get some money moving, because they can't rely on all that reuse like Marvel does. And I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
You're fine. No, because 100% Marvel Legends, it's a bunch of dudes in spandex, so it's real easy to reuse bodies here and there, especially like with the females. Like most of the time, they've got 3 different bodies, and they just recycle those all the time. Where Star Wars, all of those characters are very much so dramatically different, so it's a lot harder unless you're just doing a lot of clone troopers or stormtroopers,
which is why we see so many.
Yeah. So I think Marvel is the big reason why people have gotten this entitlement to think that they are deserved to have all these great reach goals. I honestly, if I collected Star Wars, I would want this. Like 350, it's steep. The reach goals, aside from the one dude, like I don't really care. Like the bones are great, but unless I had like a full diorama, I wouldn't need them. The cardboard backing, I feel like that shouldn't have been a reach goal. That should have just been included like as a backdrop in the box, like they did for the Emperor and stuff. But I mean, the fact that all his fingers are all individually articulated, he's got the jaw. I think another problem that I've seen people have is the fact every other one of these Haslabs, we've physically seen a fully painted prototype of the figure that was like in the final stages of development, just waiting for the pre-orders to close. Where this thing, it took them a couple weeks to even get a physical one in hand to show off. It was just digital renders. And even now, it's not painted. It's still just gray blobs. So I feel like it doesn't have that polish like the other ones do, which is making people even more kind of like hesitant or hostile towards it compared to the other ones.
You're absolutely correct. And there was one other one that did this, and that was the recent Transformers Victory Sabre. They also didn't show a painted prototype of that until halfway through the campaign, which I don't understand that. Why launch the campaign when you can't show us even a digital mock-up of the painted process? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, why are you rushing it? And then why are you running 3 at the same time?
Exactly.
Ghostbusters, Star Wars, and G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Like, I like all 3 of those things. I don't actively collect everything in there, but a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just came off Galactus, just came off Star Wars Victory Saber, and now we're running into 3 more. That's 5 this year. That's
They need to cool off and have maybe at least a month between each one, if not 2 months.
Yes.
Just because it's another thing is just going to be Haslab fatigue. People are going to be so spent on the ones that we've already had to go through, and now we've got 3 going, and there's like they're pissy about everything. Plus, this time of the year, like everything's so stressful, people already are pissier than usual.
Right.
So you're just kind of adding to that, and I feel like they should have just waited till January, announced either this one or like the Ghostbusters one. Ghostbusters one, I get doing it now because the movie's coming out, capitalizing
100%. Yes.
But now knowing it doesn't come with the straps, fuck them even harder than I was yelling at them last time we talked about it.
That could be like a piece for your wall. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
I get it. It's
to
not
me,
like a cosplay item.
It's not a complete proton pack, which bothers me.
The wand I could see. The wand, not having the wand makes sense.
If they were charging $200 for it without any of that stuff, fine. That's reasonable. But to charge fucking, what was it, 400? Or is it 300?
Yeah, I'm gonna look at it. I think it's $399 because I did order it for a friend, and then he decided he didn't want it, so I canceled it.
Yeah, because so if it's $400, you have to earn the straps, and it doesn't come. Like, I already knew it didn't come with the wand because I remember them trying to cash in on the fact that they already made the wand. I'm like, if you already have the mold, just fucking put that in with it, because that is not a $400 replica worthy proton pack. Like, even lights and sounds, like, I'm sorry, that's just excessive.
The thing is, we'll talk about more, is like what constitutes like the value in something, which it's completely subjective.
Person to person. Yeah, it's what you're willing to pay for it. It's completely
subjective. But I think the biggest thing is there's so much crossover in like toy collecting. And like you guys saying, it's so much. I'm glad that like none of these are anything that I'm into, but it would be like you start to get more focused in on how much you're spending when you're spending a lot more. And if you just did one and then you're coming back again, well, now you're going to be even more pickier on, the specific items. So like, it makes sense. It makes sense of the hate, but at the same time, both parties I feel like are in the wrong. Like, to wish something wouldn't happen is silly because then now you won't have any more.
Yeah.
Because they're going to just be like, well, fuck this. We don't want to do it. But at the same time, funding these right away is also telling, Hasbro, like, shit, we could just keep doing these and
we don't have to do anything special.
Why take a break? Just keep them going.
100%
and this is why we have the gray Rancor buffs, because they're like, just get it out so we can get it going. It's kind of like fucked on both ends.
And then that kind of runs in to then Michael's topic as well, which I believe is like 4 days later. Is the cutoff date. And it's like, dude.
I will say though, at least what part of my topic is going to be, is something you can get other places. You don't have to get it
Sure.
directly from
Yes.
the company. So like you
That's
still
fair.
have that opportunity. You may have to pay a little bit more because once the pre-orders close, those companies may want to make a little more return on
Yeah.
their investment. But
Go ahead right into it because I didn't really have anything else to do it, so that could be a perfect segue.
So I guess yeah, I'll start with that instead of what my original one is. So we're gonna first talk about the Super 7 Ultimates Party Wagon from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm also going to talk about the In Disguise Raphael. That was my original one, but then this got announced today or yesterday, and I was like, well, fuck. We have to talk about this.
Whoa! Two.
Yeah, what is up?
They're in the same line, so
they're not. But
yes, they are.
They are
Ultimates.
They 100% are.
Super 7 Ultimates. It's literally the same line.
When you think of a party wagon, those turtles, they haven't even. Never mind. Let's go.
They haven't even all come out. Yes. So anyway, yes. So this is another very expensive item that people are throwing a tantrum over. Like, I even saw fucking Pixel Dan made a 3-paragraph long tweet about how dissatisfied he was with the price point of it, and I can get it. But at the same time, if you look at the size of it and what it comes with, and based on other things on the market that have already established this kind of price point that are around the same size and usual thing, it makes sense. This is essentially a Haslab, but instead of the reach goals, you just get to know everything up front. And I think that's the problem is people are like, oh, well, what if I didn't need that stuff? I don't want to pay that much. So this is $450. The Party Wagon is from fin to laser cannon 20 inches. So the van itself is probably 18.5 to 19 inches. So we're talking, this thing is literally an action figure short of being almost like the height of the Sentinel. So this is massive. It is not the Playmates little rinky dink one. It is a full, almost 2 feet long van. It is, I think it's 18 inches long, like I said, and then 13 wide, and I want to say 13 or 14 tall.
Let me take a look. I'll look.
But yeah, so it's huge. You've got even the interior has been like completely sculpted. All of it has details. You've got all the computer components in the walls, paneling. You've got actual windows. You've got the seats are sculpted with seat belts and like duct tape and like weathering to make them look like it's a shitty van. The front like driving area has like an entire center panel that has all the components for like the computer operated stuff, the steering wheel. Same thing with the seats up there. The top opens up in multiple locations, so that way you can see inside. The side door still opens up like it normally would with the seat belt. One complaint I saw that was valid is that when the side door opened, there's no cannon like there was on the original one, which I kind of get because I'm like, okay, I can see that complaint because, yeah, it doesn't make sense why the fuck have the side door open without the cannon. But the same part, there's no room for the cannon in there because it actually has an interior versus the original Playmates one. It also has just little things that you wouldn't expect that like you'd need that are kind of cool. Like the back of the van opens up to reveal the engine, and then with the accessories of like the toolbox and all the tools and stuff, you can have Donnie with his welding mask like fixing the engine. And in accessories, you've got a Mauser that's been ran over. You've got some pizza that you can actually use as like hubcaps, which I don't like. I think that's just going to be a pizza for me. You've got the torpedoes. You've got different helmets and sunglasses for all the turtles. So and you also have, I don't know if it's just a solid piece or if it actually unravels, but you have the tow chain as well. So overall, you get a lot of stuff and a very large van for this price point. If you've watched Toy Therapy, then you've seen my episode, which not many have apparently, based on the numbers. I've talked about the Jazz Inc.'s Justice Mobile. They actually got properly licensed by WB now, so it is going to be the full-on Batman versus Superman Batmobile. That I paid at they did payment plan, but it was like $400, and that is just a smidgen, like a little bit bigger than that, because that is the full like 22 inches long from fin to like front end, and that has about probably the same amount of sculpting. It probably has a little more paint work just because it's, you know, more realism. Versus this is kind of, they have a lot of stuff that's just whatever it's sculpted as is the color it is. Um, but that also doesn't come with any accessories. I'm literally getting a light up center console, some light up brakes and headlights, and that's it. Like, it doesn't have any extra accessories for any Batman figures. So like this precedent has already been set by the size of these things. Like I think back to the Haslab problem is a lot of the vehicles we've seen in the past from Haslab were cheaper because at the time things were cheaper to make. People seem to forget that we still are trying to get out of a pandemic that has been going on for almost 2 years now, and there's shortages of all across the board, like supplies between supply chain and plastic and all this. So things are more expensive than they were simply 2 years ago. But I'm curious to hear your guys' opinions, because we talked about it a little bit, but I didn't want to spoil it too much.
Yeah.
Jarmar, go ahead.
Now, I mean, I don't want to be like Debbie Downer, and obviously, like, I'm a huge Turtle fan, if you didn't know, and then revealing a lot of things to you guys.
Oh man, you always drop these fucking truth bombs on us.
These bombs on us, man.
So I think the issue, again, one, like showing it off in photos, it doesn't look that big. Like it just doesn't. It looks the exact same size. And then when you see the turtles next to it, it just feels like, you know, not as luxurious as the way you described it. So I think that's part of it. Seeing it like in print, just visual, it just doesn't feel like that. But knowing that the price is $450, it's one of those things of like, I'm just speaking for myself. I can't speak for every turtle fan, but it almost feels like I felt that Super7 was doing a great job, and they are doing a great job, just giving me like a better version of the, you know, Playmate figures that I want in the past. And yeah, $50 or whatnot is, you know, debatable on if it's expensive or not. But then to see something like this come out and that price tag, because you also have to look at it from the perspective you guys just given of, you know, your Batmobile, the Razor Crest, all these things here. Look at it from a perspective, because Turtles is pretty much just widely, massively popular in all subsets. People who don't even really collect toys see this, and they have no other clue or any kind of idea of what other things cost. You see $450 and you're like, what the fuck are they talking about? Because this is going to have more eyes on it than something like the Razor Crest or the Rancor or something like that, because there's just normal people seeing this. Like, this was something that my wife saw on Twitter before I even mentioned anything to her, just because it's gotten, you know, got around so fast. So I think that is a lot to do with like the negativity, like in the instant response. But then within the toy community, I feel like it's one of those things of like, oh, sweet, I'm going to have my day of something cool. And then it's like, oh, no, I'm not. Not at all. Not at all. And like, it's not that I'm against it. I truly can't justify spending $450 on it, just simply from the fact of like, I don't do well with vehicles. So like, most of the times I have nothing to really do with them, and I have limited space. So that could be the reason why that plus the cost equals like no buy. If it was something like sub 200, I'd be like, all right, I don't really need this, but like, this is kind of like a splurge. So I get that. I don't want it to come off as like I'm downing it, or, you know, it was a negative thought or anything like that. It's just a bummer, because it is cool. It really is cool. But $450 is like, I don't think there's anything that I have turtle related that I spent $450 on, like, at all, out of my entire massive collection. There's nothing that I've even spent that much. The only thing I guess I'll say is the Turtle Arcade, which is that was like $350 or something like that. But to justify that in a weird way is if I wanted the actual arcade, that would be thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So,
you could potentially get a lot of use out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing to look at as well. Is this is a collectible item? It's gonna kind of sit there. It'll be cool, and you'd be like, "Damn, I own that." but then that's where that price starts to affect. Like we've joked with you, Michael, $450 plus shipping, tax, and everything. That's a PlayStation 5. Like that's just, there's so many different things that I think the normal person sees, and that's why they're like, wait, there's a turtle van for $450. What the fuck is going on?
So,
not knowing that this Haslab even exists, you know, like that's where I think a lot of that's coming from.
So here's my you know my competitiveness to that. This line is not and has never been directed towards the regular consumer. It has been solely for the hardcore collector. I mean, the figures themselves are $50. So
I get that. That's true. But when you make something like the party wagon, that's just instantly going to catch eyes of people who don't really follow toys.
That's fine.
And that's where that price is such a huge sticker shock. It would be like, I guess I can't even think of like a, well, I mean, the arcade, for example, kind of got the same idea of people are like, oh my God, there's a Ninja Turtle arcade. Wait, it costs how much? Like, whoa, wait a minute. That seems kind of crazy. But again, it's this giant thing that's in your room, so it feels a little bit more justifiable.
So here's my question for you, because you keep using this general, like, you know, casual person seeing this. Aside from your wife, how many people do you know who aren't collecting action figures have come to you and said anything about the price? Because everything I've seen has been in Facebook groups and Twitter, which is 100% collectors.
You think of, well, I guess that's fair. Who else have I really talked to the price wise? But I'm thinking of like normal people who would see this and see $450. But I guess if you're saying if it's toy collectors and they see it, I guess again, I can only just speak from my perspective. $450 seems insane.
Your reasoning is perfectly understandable for why you're not getting it. I'm not bashing at all. My thing is against just the casual viewer thing, because this line isn't for the casual person to be like, I want a turtle representation on my shelf. That's Playmates. That's who that's for.
This potentially NECA.
That's fair.
Yeah, and potentially NECA if you really want to.
Because NECA's, if NECA does make one,
which they will, they said they're going to,
and it's going to go to Target most likely. It's going to have to be, well, if it's an animated.
No, because they didn't send the dioramas to Target, so there's a good chance there's just going to be online pre-orders like that, made to order.
That's true. That may change the price point and things like that. But I will say this: so the Thunder Tank was the exact same price.
Yeah.
So the Thundercats Thunder Tank. Now it is bigger. The Thunder Tank is 27 inches, where this one is 20, so 7 extra inches, and you know, let's face it,
counts.
Every inch counts. It's only about 3 to 4 inches taller, okay? And the Party Wagon comes with tons of accessories, which the Thunder Tank does not. Yeah. So when I saw the price, I was like, oh, shit. But then I was also like, well, what did I pay for the Thunder Tank? And I went, oh, same price. So...
yeah.
Like... I get some of it, but I agree with you, Jarmar, when you said that there should have been a picture of Brian Flynn, you know, even if they didn't have the actual one, put the digital replica in scale to a person, because I think that would change a lot of people's perspectives. Because what was the first thing you guys did when they announced the Super 7 Turtles? You said, no thanks. We don't need this. Yeah. And then you saw them and saw how big they were and how cool they were. And you were like, you know what? These are awesome. That's what we're missing. Because when you put those figures next to the Party Wagon, even if we have those figures and we know how big they are, just seeing the picture doesn't do it justice.
Yeah. Because there's a picture with Leo and Donnie like standing straight up in front of the van. And they, like, head to toe, they reach about the windshield, at the bottom of the windshield.
Yeah.
So, like, in your mind, you're like, okay, so that means it's tall, but you still can't fathom it because you're not really seeing it in scale in real life. You're just seeing these very beautifully done, like, pictures that they took in the studio.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, I keep kind of going back and forth. Because on one hand, I'm like, I don't really need this. But then on the other hand, I'm like, I did buy the Thunder Tank, and I'm not as big of a Thundercats fan as I am a Turtle fan. So it's like,
right.
And then I think this is then going to be another cool segue into what Michael wanted to talk about. But one of the things that I do, so a little financial tip or whatever you want to go with on this one, is I always use my PayPal credit. If that is an option for you, that does make things a little easier.
So that does
you
the
can get
4 payments, right?
You can do that, or you can do, because that's like every 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. I do it's like 6 months, no interest, any purchase over $100. So I then have 6 months to pay off $450. So let's just do quick math on a calculator because I'm not that smart. 450 divided by 6, that's $75 a month. $75 a month is a lot easier to swallow than $450. Mm-hmm. And then if you break that down even more within a month, $75, that's like $18 a week.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Jarmar's like, fuck, can I do this?
No, I just laugh because that's something that you talk about at work.
Taco Bell.
Yeah.
You spend that at Taco Bell though.
Mm-hmm. But you can break down anything. If I do the math on how much this house costs me a day, it might actually make me cry.
Yes, that's gonna be more than $18 a day.
That it may.
But no, I think it what we're basically solving right now, we'll solve it right here with this statement. The value of something is based off of the value of something is subjective. It's what you're willing to pay for it. That's basically it. I'm doing a podcast with headphones that cost $500 from Apple. People talk shit about them all the time. So, yes, pricing and what you're going to pay for something is completely subjective. So I totally get it. Is it crazy? You can find value in anything. You could say, this van is $450. It's not for me because I know I'm going to get it. And then it's going to sit on a shelf and then it's going to sit in the closet. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason I'm really not going to get it. It's cool as all fucking hell. Maybe one day I'll just get it from Michael when he inevitably says he's gonna sell off his turtle line or something like that. But that's really all it is. The same with like the Rancor. I guess technically that's a little bit different. This is more about what is the value of it. Mm-hmm. Do you need it? I guess most people who are like they don't want to spend $450 on it, they probably just don't need it.
Yeah,
that's probably what it is.
This is one of those things where it's 100% could be someone for like me who's going to sit there and fuck around with it and take pictures and
also
mess around with it on their desk for weeks at a time. Not someone who's just going to have it on a shelf just to sit there. Like,
here's the other thing, perfect for you, Michael, because you're not already trying not to go down the rabbit hole of the line. I look at it as $450. I just want all the toys. I just want all the figures that they make. Just give me all the figures instead of just this one item. Mm-hmm. So it's all perspective.
Also, another comparison for size, you can fit 6 Ultimates in this thing. 2 in the front, 4 in the back.
That's a lot. Yeah. Those are big.
Those are really big. And to fit 2 of them in the front.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And totally, I was going to take a picture and talk shit to you, if you could see right above me by my...
Oh, your Playmates one? We can barely see it in frame.
Okay. It's barely in frame. I was gonna take a picture of it and be like, "Here you go, Michael. You can buy this for $300." But I did squeeze the NECA figures in there, and it looked great for like a few weeks, and then I took them out of there. But their legs were like all like doing weird shit, but it looked cool. You couldn't tell.
Speaking. So, what are the options? You wanted to talk a little bit about the options, I think, didn't you? As far as how to get it.
Oh yes. So you can get it directly from Super7. Big Bad Toy Store does have it, but it's $50 more. Or Entertainment Earth does have it, and they have it for retail, but it doesn't have the free shipping. However, you don't have to pay a deposit on it. Big Bad Toy Store wants $125 up front. And then obviously Super7 is whole kit and caboodle up front.
How much is shipping from Super7? Do we know?
I can find out. I know what
better be at least $200 because it's
if
like
it's
25.
More.
Oh wait, no, that's NECA. Never mind. I'll take that back. I apologize, Super7.
Well, Snake Mountain. When I got Snake Mountain from Super7, shipping was $150. That was
that is a big thing, though.
It is. That was $750 all said and done.
Yeah, that's big. That's big.
It is big. It is big.
Yeah, they because I know on Entertainment Earth, because I may or may not have pre-ordered already. The shipping was $100 on Entertainment Earth. They did have a notification that popped up saying if you buy one in stock item of $25 or more, you get free shipping. I'm like, you don't have anything that's $25 that I want to wait. That I want to wait fucking 2 years to get. Because that's another thing is this thing doesn't come out until 2023.
Yes.
And that's not including delays or anything like that. That's just already when it's planned to get there. And then, okay, so it is cheaper to get it through Super7 than Entertainment Earth. If you are willing to pay it up front, or if you have Nate's method of PayPal credit or something, or just a credit card in general that lets you pay things over time with low interest, shipping, at least to me, is $43.88. So it comes out to $493.88. They do have an option you can pay in 4 installments, no interest or fees. Your card will be billed every 2 weeks through Super7 as well, which that payment comes out to $123.47, which is still more than what Nate's was with his method. Yeah. But it comes down to what you can afford.
Quick question. Is this... How long, I guess, is the window for...
You have till December... Oh, let me get back to it. The 21st, I thought?
Nah, it's shorter than that.
Is it? I thought it was...
Yes.
Give me 1 second. I'll be on the landing page in one.
Because I think most of the Haslabs are ending on, like, December 6th, and I thought this was, like, a week later.
December 14th.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which, that is also terrible timing.
Yeah.
So
2 weeks before Christmas.
Yeah. 2 weeks before Christmas for an item that's not coming out until 2023, you couldn't push this back until January.
Yeah.
Like, that seems a little shitty on their part.
Which I think that's across the board with both them and Hasbro. Like, they're trying
because, like, they teased it, like, a week ago, and then they're like, here it is. Like, whoa, slow your roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's date first.
Or like they could have even just done the solicitations and not put it for pre-order yet. Like there's a lot of things they could have done. I think the problem is
they could have said launching January 1st, something like that.
I think the problem is all these companies are trying to pad that fourth quarter to make it look more profitable is my guess.
Yep. You're right. You're probably right.
But yeah, so that's another thing that kind of sucks about it. But like I said, if you can't pull off the $130 every 2 weeks or paying it all up front, Entertainment Earth you don't pay until it ships. Big Bad Toy Store you can pay just the deposit until it ships. You have different options. Keep in mind though, at least for Big Bad Toy Store, it's already $50 more. There's a good chance they will put the price even higher once it closes, just because that's their MO. Entertainment Earth, I agree with you. Mm-hmm. They did not do it on the Thunder Tank at this point. Okay, that's good to know because there's been a few things like I'm pretty salty at them right now because I've been wanting to get the Mafex Wolverine, and I just keep kicking the can because I've got other stuff I need to get, and it's Christmas time, I need to buy gifts and stuff. Well, then it sold out and switched over to pre-order, but the pre-order's for December, and they jacked it up $10. I'm like, so you're supposedly getting a restock in 3 weeks. But yeah, so who knows? Hopefully they don't jack it up any more than they already have. But just keep that in mind. Entertainment Earth, I don't think I've ever seen them upcharge for anything.
Plus, you can use the link.
Yeah, and there will be a link in the comments below for it as well. But yeah, so I think the biggest thing that really pushed me over the edge is when I first saw this, I saw all the stickers on it and stuff. I'm like, oh, that looks fucking trashy. I'm out. But then they showed off the sticker sheet, so you have to apply them yourself. I'm like, yes, I can throw the sticker sheet away and never have to worry about it. So that was kind of like the nail in the coffin that got me. I do want to discuss, before we discuss it, let's get to my other topic real quick. Just kind of, we don't need to go too deep into it. A couple weeks ago, they also announced the first, what we assume will be the first of, the Undercover Turtles, which is the Ultimate Raphael. He comes in the soft good trench coat. If you've been a fan of the show, you know I'm all about that trench coat mafia when it comes to these turtles. So finally getting them for the Super7 is going to be kind of awesome. You do get the two head sculpts we already had now have hats molded on them. He has a pistol, a video camera, a new set of sights, a tripod, a briefcase, a listening device, some night vision goggles, and some ninja stars, and a new pizza that has more toppings on it. So pretty much almost everything on it is new, and of course you get the trench coat stuff as well. Also, they changed the, I don't know if this was like it on the Playmates versions, but the letter on his belt is red now instead of yellow. But I'm all in on this. I know obviously this was a Playmates thing where they had all 4 turtles in the trench coats, so I have to assume we're gonna get the other 3 at some point.
Yeah, this to me was like, well, the conversation was surprising and confusing at the same time because they're working on the wave with the Leo Samurai and God, my brain just stopped working.
Detective Donatello.
Well, yeah, so yeah, that's what I'm getting to is that Detective Donatello. I thought, oh shit, they're just gonna just straight up play my boy Donnie, like not make him the detective, and then it dawned on me, oh, this is the Undercover. Okay, this makes sense. So I mean, again, perspective of what has value to me. This is like perfect. I want more turtle toys, so of course it's signed up. But I don't even know what the price is. I just
it's the 55
54.
Oh yeah, $54.99, and it is exclusive to Big Bad Toy Store.
Yes.
Yeah, I went all in on that.
Yeah,
but
I imagine that the Donatello is going to look extremely similar to this, except it's going to have the mask.
Yeah,
I have to assume the Donatello we're going to get in that
soft.
next wave is going to be different. Because
it won't have the soft goods.
Yeah, I don't think it will have the soft goods. I think it'll be sculpted. Because wasn't that the deal?
And it was also
original?
like tattered a little bit. Like it had kind of like, I want to say like.
I don't think that they're going to do a whole nother Undercover Donatello. I think that Donatello is going to function as both that variant and fit right in with that Raphael. I could be wrong. But
if they do that, tables will flip. Because this is Undercover.
Yeah, and it is 2 different things. Yeah. So here, Jarmar, what if they do this? So they don't do the sculpted on coat, but they give you 2 soft goods coats, one that's more resemblance of the...
That I could see.
The only problem is, if I'm buying these, then does that mean you have to buy 2?
If you want them both displayed, yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
So
which you were going to buy 2 either way if you were going to have it as separate releases. So what's the difference? You just have more accessories to throw away.
I just don't see them releasing a second one. That's just what I'm saying.
I don't know. I see them could do it for money, man.
Yeah, but this is a way to get people to buy 2.
True.
Yeah, but then you have the... So what do they just do? A different coat and then they replace the Splinter Cell Sam Fisher goggles for the weird chubby guy face with the mustache.
Yeah, yes. Pretty much. You get 2 coats, one for the Undercover and one for the Detective, and then you get that instead.
I don't like it.
I mean, I don't care because the only one I want is the Undercover. I don't give a shit about Detective Donatello, unfortunately. Just especially because under the notion that it's more than likely if they do it's separately gonna be all sculpted instead.
Weird though that why do this wave? I mean, I guess they probably start. I don't know. It's just weird. It just doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't.
It's an exclusive.
Yeah,
but why start this? But is it exclusive? Because then they have to do the other turtles, right?
Yeah,
maybe they'll be either exclusive to Big Bad or they'll be exclusive to Entertainment Earth, and they'll be exclusive to.
That's what I mean. Doing this now.
FYE.
What the weird thing though is just that like these waves have the same. It's what you're gonna be right, Nate. That'd be a bummer. That's the only thing that makes sense.
I don't know. I mean,
why do this now? Why do this now when you have a detective Donnie already coming out in this wave of the disguised like turtle? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense.
I think so. I think I have the answer to that because the body itself is 100% reuse. They just had to sculpt the hat onto the heads. The accessories, most of them are new. But I mean, cost-wise, they can pump these out as exclusive and get them out into the ethos and generate that money faster than they can go through with these new waves. Because think about it, we're still waiting on regular Donatello that was supposed to release a month ago. And if and they haven't even announced the next wave after Samurai Leo wave. So
yeah,
I think it's gonna be a situation where they can pump these out maybe 2 a year separately from the waves, and it's easier to get them from the factory than it is to get an entire wave of different figures.
That's fair. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we could all be wrong, and they could just be like, "Fuck you, you're only getting Raph."
So far though, just if you're keeping score, they have now already shown off Scratch, which is one of the most expensive turtles, and now they're doing the Undercover turtles. If they
which
do
are
all
also
four
very
of those,
expensive if you get
very
the
expensive.
Yeah.
What would be like? What they're just coming straight for the neck of all the expensive Playmate figures. I'm into it. I'm into it.
It makes sense because those are clearly sought after, so why not?
Yeah, I'm into it. I should probably sell my hotspot now. Is basically what we're saying.
I mean, I don't think this will affect the Playmates prices because I feel
like I don't think so either.
If you want that original one, you don't want it just to have the character. You want it to because of what it is.
Yeah. All right. Trying to play the market.
But you can definitely sell it to help fund the party wagon.
I was just about to say that. I'm like, you could sell it and buy a party wagon though. But yeah, speaking of back to the party wagon real quick. So one thing I did want to talk about real quick. We're obviously running a lot longer than I want to. The NECA one. We discussed, will NECA's going to do one. They've said they're going to do it. They've kind of discussed how it's going to work. I can't see it going to Target because if Target wasn't willing to do the street dio, I can't see them being like, yeah, give us a giant fucking car. I don't expect the NECA one to be too much cheaper just because they said the interior is going to be 100% modular. You'll be able to switch out and maneuver the parts around however you want them because of the fact in the show it's so inconsistent, so that they want you to be able to choose your adventure essentially. And I was kind of curious what what you think we're going to get when NECA does eventually show theirs off, which NECA was supposed to have theirs like prototype ready and show off before Super 7, and they still haven't even like gone back to it.
Well, what I'll say is I don't fully agree with you as far as pricing and Target not wanting it because of the dio, just because, again, it's a party wagon. I don't know if
Target doesn't know what these things are. You have to remember the people who are buying these for Target are not fans. They are people with college degrees who get paid way too much money to make decisions. That's why half the toy sections are not stocked.
Yeah. That is also why we didn't get a Ghidorah for King of the Monsters. Target didn't want it.
Yeah.
Okay. And it would have been maybe 150.
Yeah.
And they were like, nope. So that's where once Michael said that, I was like, it made me think of that, and I'm like, yeah, he's right. It's not going to be at Target
because Target can't even move a fucking $50 Chrome Dome right now. That's clogging the shelves because NECA's trying to balance.
That was a poor decision.
Is it though? Because they can't seem to win, because if they don't put them up for pre-order and ship them out to fans, the fans riot and fucking come with a gallows to hang Randy. But on the flip side of that, then Target gets the shaft and has a bunch of stock left over on the shelves that no one wants.
I could have solved that easily for them. Order more turtles, order less side characters.
You watch that stuff will disappear after Christmas.
Oh, it will. Like Christmas season will definitely clear it off. I'm just saying it's been sitting there for significantly longer than any other turtle launch.
Which is what it should be doing.
I agree.
The fact that I can go in and pick this up off the shelf and not have a fucking heart attack trying to get it. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I 100% agree. That's how it should be.
A couple extra weeks. Great.
My fear is that Target's not going to see it that way, because Target just sees these as dollar signs. If those dollar signs ain't adding up fast enough, they're going to be a little more hesitant going forward, because that's how it's been in the past for other toy lines.
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, that's
that
why,
also,
like,
to me, that doesn't equate to a higher price for the vehicle, like for the party wagon from NECA, just because you also think that a 2-pack from NECA, $50, it's kind of getting a little bit higher, but that's the cost of like one turtle for Super 7. That would seem outrageous, even more egregious, to be at $450, $400 from NECA, when they're kind of like they're not like the McFarlane, like the cheap figure, but
they're the retail figure. They're not the
the retail,
like, they're still oriented
right.
for collectors, but they're not the specialty
right.
line. So let me throw this out there then.
200.
The Street Dio, the Toon Street Dio was $250 plus shipping. Aside from all,
was it that much?
Mm-hmm. Or was it, maybe it was $250 after shipping? It was over $200 by the end of it.
Okay.
But it also, one, was 100% reuse for the building itself, because they've already released it twice. We did get a bunch of new accessories with it, which made sense for why it was a little more expensive. But yeah, it was it was over $200 after shipping and everything. And the building itself is not like, it's not very like solid or anything like that. There's nothing on the inside. It's literally just thin plastic like walls that you build into 2 half cubes, and that's it. So not a lot of sculpt goes into it, not a lot of much of anything. Okay. It's very one-sided. Do you honestly think we're going to get a party wagon fully sculpted, full interior module for under $300?
The margin was probably quite high on that diorama set to fund the party wagon.
Could be.
I mean, it's possible, but
modular doesn't necessarily mean more expensive, though.
I mean, no, but they have to. It means that they at least have to go, instead of being able to sculpt it directly to the wall of the thing, they now have to make it so it can attach with like peg holes and stuff.
It could be cheaply attached. One of the biggest modular companies in the world sells furniture and everything for a lot cheaper, and that's IKEA. So I'm just saying, modular.
So do you want a cheap party wagon that you can't figure out how to put together?
I'm just saying that could be, the modular idea could end up saving them money in the long run, just because they're just making a bunch of cubes and you know what I mean, versus, and just packing everything together versus like sculpting it. There may be less like manufacturer defect in that process that could save them money. So I wouldn't just equate the modular to more expensive. But I would guess that they're gonna go lower, especially going after Super 7 and seeing this. I guarantee you they're gonna try and get it as low as possible.
I mean, yeah, seeing the feedback Super 7's gotten and the hate they've gotten, I don't think it'll be $250.
I could see.
I think it's gonna be $350, and it won't come with any accessories. It will come with just the thing in the interior that you can move around.
I think you're right. I think $350 is probably where we're heading.
Well, let's mark this down.
Yeah, because it is not cheap. Nothing is cheap anymore. Yeah. All this is expensive. So
yeah, that's true, but also not true at the same time. Because like things are harder to make, but then there's other. I mean, I guess I'm using other industries as an example, and that's not necessarily.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that all the industries aren't the same.
Yeah.
Because I mean, think about it, in a year's time, Marvel Legends went from being $20 to being $23 to $25, depending on where you go. And while $3 isn't much, that's still more than a 10% hike.
It's $20 if you're buying a wave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, like, if there's a 10% increase on just retail figures, you can only imagine if you're trying to make something big at one of those factories, how much more that costs.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, that's for sure.
Yeah. But I think NECA will delay their announcement further so they can try to find a way to reach closer to that $350 mark, so that way they can be the heroes in the situation. Be like, ours is cheaper and it's Toon. You love Toon.
That NECA was gonna would have, if that stands true, that means that they were debating on releasing something at $400 as well. That just seems high. But then again,
who knows?
Yeah. But Nate is clearly on his way to Sleepy Town, so let's go ahead and wrap things
up.
I
am. Look at my eyes.
That is it for this episode of Modern Toy Fair. Please make sure to subscribe for more weekly toy-related content, including this podcast, Toy Therapy, and weekly toy reviews. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Modern Toy Fair. Jarmar can be found over on twitch.tv/Jarmar_games, where he streams Apex. And then on YouTube, you can search Why You're a Gamer to find clips of video games and also eventually Season 1 of Why You're a Gamer. You can also find Why You're a Gamer Season 1 on any podcast app that you currently use. Nate, do you have anything aside from what time you're going to bed to plug?
No, but I did want to show off my TikTok dances. But I also wanted to plug, I am on Modern Toy Fair. I am on Toy Therapy. I am on Wednesday night weekly purchases. And I am going to be in Season 1 of Why Were You a Gamer? Which is a show that discusses people who used to play games but then got old and then can't find any time.
I love it. But yeah, also twitch.tv/Modern Toy Fair for Wednesday night weekly tourists every Wednesday night. And for some reason, if you don't like staring at our beautiful faces for an hour, you can catch the audio-only version of Modern Toy Fair and Toy Therapy, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and other podcast apps you know and love. So check that out, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Same toy time, same toy channel. Thank you for watching.
My seat is wet.
I didn't know her. Did you pee on yourself?